26 hours a week. Another one here. My husband retrained with an IT degree as a 50-year-old ex-electrician. We moved to Wellington in 2004 to take up a full-time position with a utilities company. He's now 68, still employed by the same company as a senior developer and a respected team member. And on that wonderful note, kia ora to you both. You've been fantastic. Ellie Jones, have a great afternoon and evening.
Thank you, you too.
Yeah, and you too, Professor Alan Blackman. Nice to have you on.
Thank you very much.
I'm Wallace Chapman. See you tomorrow, Wednesday's show, 3:45. Till then, bye.
Whakarongo mai koe ki te reo irirangi o Aotearoa. This is Checkpoint on RNZ National. I'm Lisa Owen. Haere aki nei, boom, it's a bling-tastic day at the Games. Paddle power delivers pure gold for Lisa Carrington as she equals the record for New Zealand's most decorated Olympian.
What an achievement.
Just so very proud of you, Lisa. Just so very, very, very proud.
We love her.
Also glittering, fellow kayaker Caitlin Regal sharing the top spot on the podium for the doubles. New Zealand scores a bronze in the boxing too. And stand by, because this day isn't done yet. Our sailors are prospecting for gold as well. And of course, we'll have all the other important stuff that happened while we were winning medals.
RNZ News at 5, I'm Marama Tibole. In the space of just over an hour in Tokyo, canoeist Lisa Carrington has added 2 more Olympic gold medals to her collection. Carrington shredded the field to win the K1 200-metre final to give her a hat-trick of gold medals in the event, and then teamed up with Caitlin Regal to win the K2 500. Our reporter Maya Burry was there.
On a hot and windy day at the Sea Forest Waterway in Tokyo, Carrington yet again blitzed her competition. She won her semi-final in the K1 200 with an Olympic best time and bettered that mark again in the final. She's the first New Zealander to win 3 gold medals in the same event. Just over an hour later, the 32-year-old was back on the water for the K2 500-metre final with Caitlin Regal, where the pair also won with an Olympic best time. And Carrington's gold rush could continue. She's set to race in the K1 500 heats tomorrow and the K4 500 heats on Friday.
The Sport and Recreation Minister was bombarded with emails about Laurel Hubbard's Olympic Games selection over the past few months. Emails obtained under the Official Information Act show Grant Robertson received dozens and dozens of letters, the majority calling for government intervention after her selection to the New Zealand team. Hubbard competed on Monday night but failed to finish in her weightlifting category after failing her 3 attempts at the snatch. One writer thanked the government for supporting Hubbard, saying her trans daughter faced hatred in Britain while seeking possible Commonwealth Games selection. Others condemned the selection, comparing it to Australia's underarm bowling incident. Migrant workers who have been separated from their families protested at Parliament today, calling on the government to allow their loved ones to enter the country. One of the protest organisers, Adam Gibson, says over 500 families haven't been reunited due to the border closures. The Ministry of Immigration cancelled up to 50,000 applications for temporary visas last month, which included many people waiting to join their New Zealand partners. Daniel Birkenant hasn't seen his family in 19 months.
Just in this week, 2 days ago, my wife asked me to please stand in the door frame so my daughter can remember how tall I am, because she's just completely forgotten. She doesn't remember my physical stature even anymore, because the only thing she sees is me on a cell phone screen.
Daniel Birkenant says there are many who haven't seen their families for such a length of time. And news just to hand, a $220 million class action lawsuit by more than 1,000 claimants over a weather tightness product has been settled. James Hardie Industries was being sued over a type of cladding used in New Zealand Hardietex. In a market statement, the producer says the settlement includes a payment of $1.25 million to James Hardie, no admission of liability, and the end of the claim. A civil case began in the High Court at Auckland in May. There are 2 other outstanding weather tightness claims against the firm. The Deputy Prime Minister denies any stealthy attempts to change the country's name to Aotearoa New Zealand. National MP Stuart Smith is demanding a referendum before government agencies or departments use the name Aotearoa. The Māori Party says that's absurd, describing it as unhelpful and divisive. Grant Robertson says there's no move by the government to push one name over another.
I wouldn't say it's a conscious thing. I just think it's something that's evolved in New Zealand over time. Everybody knows what it means. Everybody I know who uses it in a way that they're comfortable of. I tend to use it quite interchangeably.
Grant Robertson says Aotearoa is a word in the official New Zealand language. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern has tested negative for COVID-19. She had to get tested after catching a cold from her daughter Neve. A spokesperson says Ms Ardern is working from Premier House, her Wellington home, and is taking part in meetings via video conference. Ms Ardern missed the first day back at Parliament after the 3-week recess. It's 5:04. To sports now, Lisa Carrington has praised canoe partner Caitlin Regal following their gold medal win in the K2 500 at the Tokyo Olympics. The win came just over an hour after Carrington won the K1 200 Olympic title, giving her a hat-trick of Olympic titles in the event after victory in London in 2012 and Rio in 2016. Carrington's now won 2 of the 4 gold medals she targeted in Tokyo.
There's always a plan, but it's a different thing to execute it, and it was a huge challenge to be able to stick to that plan through the day. And I guess I'm just so fortunate to have Caitlin as such an amazing teammate, and to be able to go out there with someone and do what we just did. I'm just super proud of her and of our team, because our team have worked so hard as well.
Lisa Carrington speaking to Sky Sport. It's New Zealand's 6th gold medal at the Games. Sailors Peter Burling and Blair Tuke have just claimed the silver medal in the 49 at the Tokyo Olympics. The New Zealanders took a 4-point lead into the medal race, and finishing 3rd in the medal race, won by Great Britain, was not enough to win the overall title. Burling and Tuke were the defending Olympic champions. Meanwhile, heavyweight boxer David Nika has also won a medal this afternoon. While he lost his semi-final bout, he picks up a bronze medal. New Zealand is 10th on the medal table with 16 medals all up. And Wellington won't host any All Blacks tests this year. New Zealand Rugby have confirmed the first 2 Bledisloe Cup tests against the Wallabies will be held at Eden Park due to the pause in the Trans-Tasman travel bubble. That's the news.
Olympic history made.
I hope that members of the trans community can look to Laurel, can look to this experience and see themselves in sport.
A wild Auckland day.
Part of my dining room had a big wet patch. It looks like the roof has lifted a bit. Yeah, now the water's coming in.
South Island tieki released.
It is a very charismatic bird that interacts with people. Some people call it the monkey of New Zealand. They just monkey down the trees, and they're quite noisy birds as well.
A rare breed. Morning reports, weekdays from 6 on RNZ National.
Now the short forecast from Met Service to midnight Wednesday. Northland, Auckland and Coromandel showers, some heavy with hail and southwest gales, all easing this afternoon. Mainly fine tomorrow with isolated morning showers in Auckland and rain in Northland at night. Waikato to Taumaranui, also Bay of Plenty and Taupo, generally fine, isolated showers clearing this afternoon. Taranaki and Taihape to Wellington, also Gisborne to Wairarapa. Showers retreating to Wellington and Wairarapa this evening, then clearing early tomorrow and becoming fine. Southerly gales in Wellington throughout today. Kaikoura Coast and Ranges and Canterbury. Rain with snow to 500 metres and gales about the Kaikoura Coast, all easing this afternoon. Fine tomorrow. For the remainder of the South Island, isolated showers about Bulla, Otago and Southland, clearing this afternoon. Otherwise fine or becoming fine. And for the Kohu Chatham Islands, rain, southwest gales expected tomorrow. The time is 7 minutes past 5.
Thanks, Marama. Tēnā koutou katoa, no mai haere mai ki Checkpoint I tēnei rā, ko Lisa Owen tēnei. It's a bloody bling-tastic day for the Kiwi contingent in Tokyo. kayaker Lisa Carrington led the charge, literally, the powerhouse paddler, taking out 2 golds, 1 in the singles and 1 in the doubles, equalling our most decorated Olympians with a career medal haul of 5 so far. Carrington's partner in the K2 500, Caitlin Regal, all the more royal in gold too, her first medal. The pair blasted out of the gate and did not look back. Olympic boxer David Nikar fought his way to bronze, and sailors Blair Chuk and Peter Burling have just won silver in the 49ers. We'll head to Tokyo soon, but first let's go to the cloud on Auckland's waterfront, where whānau and friends are floating. Our reporter Louise Tanuth is there. Louise, what's it been like there today?
Yeah, hi Lisa. Well, we've been here at the cloud virtually all day today, just soaking up the atmosphere here. The energy has been absolutely through the roof. It's been packed out with Kiwis proud as punch. Some of the most proudest ones though, of course, were Lisa Carrington's parents and her nan. Here's what they had to say just moments after that second gold today.
Oh, just heart is just bursting. Just so very, very, very proud of Lisa and Caitlin today. The words just escape me at the moment, but it's all about being so proud of her and her performance. Yeah.
Just overwhelmed how good she is. There's really lots to be thought about the type of a person she is, but we love her.
I guess the day your child is born is euphoric. Today was euphoric as well. And there will be other days like it, but gosh, at the moment this has just topped it all.
I remember her saying to me, Nan, I want to be better than better. And I always will remember her for that. And that was something, she used to always say to me, Nan, I've been able to conquer fear and come at the other end of it. And that's what she's done.
Wow. How can I say that better than Nan said it?
And obviously you guys are here. This is the next best thing, obviously with COVID. Really special to be here today with friends and family.
Yes. You know, this is sharing the love, sharing the experience is absolutely wonderful. Of course we would love to have been there. But this is the next best thing, sharing with people we love.
And I've got to ask about the wee Kiwi you've been carrying around. Can we have a brief background about what he's about?
Okay. Today, Kiwi is my stress Kiwi. Okay. But I bought him as a mascot to go with us to 2009. First World Senior Championships that Lisa attended, and we made a kind of pact to ourselves that we would follow her as much as we can. He comes along everywhere, so every time we've been overseas to World Championships, to the Olympics, London and Rio, now here we've been there.
And does he have a name?
No, Kiwi. I know.
Yeah.
And just looking ahead in regards to tomorrow, do you think she's still got that fire and that energy in the tank to take that one out as well?
One step at a time and tomorrow is another day and another step that she will take.
I'm sure she has.
Yeah, I'm sure she will.
Do you have a quick message for Lisa?
I'll give it to my mum.
My heart is just bursting. What an achievement. We're very proud of you.
Thank you, Lisa, for today.
Just so very proud of you, Lisa.
And that was Lisa's parents, Pat and Glynis, with Lisa's nan, Toria Doreen Carrington. Now, Louise, there was someone else pretty special there supporting Lisa today too.
Yeah, obviously, other than the friends and family of the other athletes here today, one of Lisa's #1 supporters, Micah, was here in the crowd. Here's what he had to say about his wife's achievements.
It was hard to top the previous performance, but when you can link up and do it with a teammate, it's just, I think it's special, and having Caitlin's family here to witness it as well it's just really special to be here. Yeah.
And she's been absolutely cruising. Did you know she had that one in the can, that last one?
They've been talking up some pretty good training sort of metrics and results, so yeah, I think if they fronted with the right frame of mind, we were in for a treat, and we got that. yeah.
Tell me what's been racing through your mind today.
Oh, I've just been trying to get rid of the nerves, really. But right now it's just relief. Probably relief for Lisa and Caitlin and the rest of the team, because there's been a hell of a lot of pressure, and to see them come through and just deliver what they were capable of just speaks such volumes of their characters and who they are for New Zealand women and for our country is so awesome.
And obviously a very different looking Olympics this time, but special to be with family and friends here at the Cloud.
Yeah, it is. It's probably the second best place we'd like to be. A lot of the people here, we were due to be over there together, but being surrounded by friends and family is pretty special, yeah.
And of course we can't ignore the fact that she now has the New Zealand record for the most number of gold medals. What's your reaction? Yeah, it's pretty amazing to be able to turn up to competitions over 3 separate Olympics and deliver, and to do one with a teammate is incredible, I think, yeah, as well. And just lastly, if you could send a message down the barrel, what would you say?
Just that we've had an awesome afternoon down here. Thanks for treating us, and just enjoy the moment. We love you, yeah.
Lisa Carrington's fiancé there, Louise, but what's the family up to tonight?
Well, I do believe some celebrations are in store. I know they've got a phone call scheduled with Lisa at some point, but they've got to sort out that time difference, so that's on the cards. There were a few drinks flowing this afternoon, but they've got to take it easy because, of course, it's not over yet. They'll be back here again tomorrow to do it all again as she takes her 3rd shot at gold.
Thanks, Louise. Louise Tanuth reporting live from the Cloud on Auckland's waterfront. It is 5:15 and you're with Checkpoint on RNZ National. Kia ora rawatu mo te whakarongo mai. Thanks for listening. E haere ake nei. We'll have the other stuff that was happening while New Zealand was winning medals a little later in the programme. The medals keep rolling in for the New Zealand team. Sailors Peter Burling and Blair Tuke have just claimed silver in the 49er class in the waters off Japan. Our reporter Clay Wilson joins us from there. Hi Clay, what's happened?
Kia ora Lisa, yes, as you say, a medal for Peter Burling and Blair Tuke. Not quite the one they were after, but a medal all the same, silver. So a second silver to add to their collection. They won silver in London in 2012, of course, gold in Rio in 2016. Looking for back-to-back golds here, not quite to be. They had a 4-point buffer going into today over Great Britain and Spain, and the British produced a sensational race. Close all the way between the Kiwis, the British and the Germans. The British just able to keep their noses in front throughout, close across the line, but it was Germany who won the race from Great Britain who won the race from Germany to claim that gold by a narrow margin. So, of course, like I said, not the medal that Pete and Blair would have been after, but still all the same when you add the 2 America's Cup victories, 6 World Championships, 2 silver medals, and of course that gold medal, still a pretty impressive tally.
And Clay, the excitement's not over yet. New Zealand's got another shot at a medal tonight. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's right. So just shortly in about 15 minutes' time, Josh Jr. will compete in the Finn class medal race. Now he's 4th going into that race. He's 8 points off a bronze medal. Gold medal might be a little bit of a stretch, but silver and bronze definitely attainable for Josh Jr. He's the 2019 world champion, and he's just coming into form at the right part of this regatta. He won the last race before we moved into this medal race today. So a good shot at another medal for the sailing team here today, and to add to that tally that's stacking up for the New Zealand team.
And what else is on the cards for New Zealand for the rest of the evening and tomorrow, looking ahead?
Yeah, well, of course, we had David Nika in action today, and he hasn't quite made it through, but he's secured a bronze medal. But our track cyclists are now getting their campaign underway. And tomorrow, weightlifter David Letty, of course, we all remember that gold medal he won at the Commonwealth Games in the Gold Coast, very memorable, and he gets underway tomorrow night. So looking, hopefully, for a medal for him, but an entertaining character, so something to look out for as we move into tomorrow night.
Thanks, Clay. Good to talk to you. That is Clay Wilson joining us live from Tokyo. It is 17 minutes past 5. Kia amo tonu mai. You're listening to Checkpoint on RNZ National. Now, Peter Burling's father joins us now live. Kia ora, Richard. What was it like to watch this unfold?
Oh, I was just so close, and it's sort of good result, but we're a little bit gutted. They didn't actually be a few metres further forward. But no, they've done really well. Really proud of what they've done, him and Blair.
Where were you watching and who were you with?
Oh, we're just at home with our grandchild. I've got a 3.5-year-old grandchild, so she's sort of a little bit stressful watching, actually.
Yeah, talk me through that, Richard.
So we sort of had our granddaughter to keep us company, and yeah, they were sort of in the gold medal position, and then it was the silver, and then it was the gold, and they were just trying as hard as they could, and that, for us, it's actually way stressful, even though there's nothing we can do about the result.
When did you last have an opportunity to talk to him? Because this is one of these events, right, that it goes for a long haul, for days.
Yeah. No, we haven't actually talked to him since before the event. So we've been doing lots of texts and those sort of things between us, but not physically talk to him. It's really strange for us. We've been to the last 3 Olympics with Peter, and we've got a really nice feeling for how things are going. We have no idea whatsoever what it's like over there, which is really strange for us.
And so how do you support him when normally you would go and be there?
Olympics we have, yeah. We went to China and London and also to Rio. And we're not actually allowed, we're not allowed in the athletes' village, but we still see them and we still feel what's happening and so forth. Yes, it just feels really strange.
And how have you been this week, hanging off the edge of your seat, no doubt?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. And we've sort of been back and forth between Auckland and Tauranga, and we're actually at home in Tauranga at the moment.
So what a year, for these guys? What a year with the America's Cup and this. I mean, how can you stand the excitement?
No, it's good. It's good. You don't get used to it, though. It's always stressful for us.
And when will you get an opportunity to have a chat to him?
Oh, hopefully tonight. He'll give us a ring.
And what are you going to say, Richard? What are you going to say to your boy?
Oh, I'm not too sure. Just how proud we are of what he's done and what Blair's done. And he's not back in New Zealand, I think, until October, so he's actually away for a long time.
What do you reckon's next for him?
He's got his Live Ocean charity, which every time he does well, that's actually really, really good as well, sort of saving the ocean. And I know they've got some overseas events they have to do, not the 49ers, and some other events before they get back to New Zealand. And as for another Olympics, I wouldn't have an idea what their thoughts are at this stage.
How are you going to celebrate now that you can sort of breathe out a little bit?
Eat some real food for a change.
Like what, Richard? What are you celebrating with?
No, we'll keep that to ourselves.
Lovely to talk to you, and well done to the lads. Thanks for joining us. That is Richard Burling, Peter's father, who has, well, just a short time ago, they won, Peter Burling and Blair Tuke have won the silver in the 49er class there. Now, Olympic kayaking legend Ian Ferguson has just got company with paddler Lisa Carrington, equalling his record. And I think we're going to talk to Ian shortly, but right now, where are we going? New Zealand has won its first boxing medal at the Olympics since David Tua way back in 1992. David Nika was already guaranteed to break that drought, having secured a bronze by advancing to the semi-finals. But the pressure was on the 25-year-old today to advance to the gold medal bout. Our reporter Nick Trubridge and cameraman Nick Monroe joined Nika's friends and family in Hamilton for this afternoon's big fight.
It's not quite Tokyo, instead we're at the Wayward Pigeon Bar in Hamilton. This is where Team Nika is based for the day, hoping to see their man advance from the semi-finals to an Olympic final. Let's go inside and check out some of the pre-fight nerves. You're not coach, but your dad, so what do you say? What do you say to him when you spoke to him last night?
Well, we sort of, we're part of a sort of a boxing community, and we all love boxing, so you know, I'm always going to chip in with my 2 cents, but I basically just told him just, you know, be himself, be open to every possibility, don't be surprised by anything, just don't leave any stone unturned, you know, do what you have to do.
Big brother, what are you feeling prior to big little brothers fight?
Yeah, I'm feeling confident, real confident, excited.
nerves are on edge a bit. Great event here with all the friends and family here. More people than I expected, actually. Like people from different towns as well. It's really quite exciting.
The crowd rolled with every punch, willing their man on. He started with a flurry before his top-ranked Russian opponent started taking control of the contest. Today isn't Nika's day, but he still walks away with New Zealand's first Olympic boxing medal in nearly 30 years.
No final, but your bro is he's an Olympic medalist.
Yeah. Oh, that's massive. So, I mean, you've got the best of the best fighting there, and it's a beast of a tournament. You've got all the best fighters from all over the world meeting there, and that guy's the best in the world. So I think he'll go all the way. I think he'll win the final. Fair play to him. He did really well against Dave. I mean, Dave's not an easy guy for anybody in the world to beat, and like he's going to be an absolute menace for anyone who fights him. It is what it is.
Mum, Susie, look, no final, but your boy is a Olympic medalist, so how does it feel?
Oh, so proud. He's amazing. I'm just like, right from the bottom of my heart, I am just amazed and so incredibly proud by what he's achieved.
What's it like seeing him on TV? Obviously you can't be there, but just tell me about, that's your boy up there, what does it feel like?
I would hate to do it sober. I really find it quite stressful because it's not just, is he going to get hurt, it's also, is he going to get the recognition he deserves for what he's thrown into himself for 10 years, and it's a long time in a 25-year-old's life, so yeah.
I imagine a text or a call will be pretty high up the priority list. What will you say to him?
Last time I said, love you, buddy. Yeah.
And then the call came. Mum, Dad and their Olympic medalist son.
You guys are always going to be, give us great scraps. So.
Dave, so proud. So proud.
Yeah. So proud of you, beautiful boy. You're better going to enjoy, your time. You can chill and reflect, and you can think about that medal that you've got and what it's cost you, and what it means to all of us. You've joined a proud pantheon of athletes.
Bronze medal, dude.
And Olympic kayaking legend Ian Ferguson has just got some more company at the top. Paddler Lisa Carrington has smashed her first two races, bringing home gold in the singles and doubles. Now that brings her career medal haul to 5, which makes her equal to New Zealand's most decorated Olympic athletes, including Ian Ferguson. And Ian Ferguson joins me now. Kia ora, Ian.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well. What's it like to have some new company at the top of the Olympic stack?
Well, the awesome thing is she's a kayaker. That's at the top of the rack with me. So that is, for me, that is super special.
I bet. But the thing is, she's halfway to achieving what she wants to do. So she's got 2 more cracks at it. Can you kind of put that in perspective for us? How epic is that effort, that target she has set herself?
That target is so tough with the amount of races she's got to do and just back up and back up. It is going to be hard for her, especially tomorrow. She's going to be aching a bit and got to go again, and especially racing against Caitlin as well. Her partner today, she'll be racing against her tomorrow. So they'll be good friends, and in going into that, they'll be wanting to thrash each other. But, It is incredible that what Lisa's done today with the help of Caitlin. Yeah, Caitlin.
She makes it look so effortless, right? So out of the blocks, they would on her own and in the kayak with Caitlin, they both made it look so effortless. In terms of Lisa Carrington, would your muscles? Can you talk us through it? Would your muscles be screaming and your lungs about to burst? And does it come down to your mental focus, or talk us through that?
Well, once you get out, the thing about Lisa is she gets into such a perfect motion. It's just poetry in motion, really, just so rhythmical. One stroke flows into the next, so it's not so hard on a body. You know, people who paddle and then jerk away, they're straining their body too much, but she doesn't. She has this perfect fluent technique which just runs so effortlessly. But I can guarantee you behind all of that, she is still hurting. But she's got the presence of mind to just keep that flow going, not let the pain break the cycle of how her arms are going around. She just puts up with that pain and just keeps on going, because she knows all she has to do is keep going and she's going to win. She knows she's going to win that race, and she's been there before. She knows she can handle that pain and get through it, and not disturb her or break her style at all. So, yeah, she's just incredible. She just smashed them out at the start, which just must have broken them straight away. Yeah, no girls came near her in the end, so they were just, they just realised that they couldn't pull anything special out because Lisa had already done it.
Saying that though, Ian, how much of this would come down to a degree of restraint, right? Because she knows she's got 2 more races on top of this, and is some of it about knowing to leave a little bit of gas in the tank or not?
No, it's you leave a little. No finals you leave anything in the tank. Trust me. The semi-finals you may, and I looked like she was just being nice technique and finishing off perfectly. But in the finals, there's no holding anything back, and you got to be that way. You got to keep dominating. She's got to scare the hell out of everybody, so that tomorrow she's going to be feared, and they're going to be thinking about her and not their race. So she'll just carry on tomorrow. She'll be pretty good tomorrow. It's a whole night to recover, and she'll get over that. She's used to it.
It's her first Olympics, right? And it's largely a solo pursuit, what she's doing. How do you sustain that over so many years and still be at the top of her game like she is, streaks ahead?
Well, actually, it's not quite a solo thing she's doing. She's got all the girls with her that train with her. Caitlin is almost the same speed as her. You know, they work together, but Lisa's just got the edge on her. So, and the fact that she's there, that makes them both train better, and it's all the other girls in the squad as well. The coaching it is really a team effort, and she's just the pointy end of it. She's doing the things that the others can't quite do, and she's the real focus, the spearhead of what's happening. And tomorrow it's going to show again. We'll see Caitlin pulling something out as well as Lisa. So, she is just incredible, though. I've got to say, she is incredible. No one else has ever done that. So she's now up there of same medals as me, and the top female as well. So it's a special moment for kayaking, for her, for me. It's very, very special.
How do you fancy her chances and the team's chances in the K4?
Her chances are pretty good tomorrow. Pretty good for a medal. It's not an easy race. It's over twice as long a distance, and she is a good sprinter. So she's just got to get it and hold on. The 4 is going to be, it'll be anyone's race, or not anyone's, but of a few teams. It's going to be a hard one to pull off, because there's all the big countries have really good girls as well. So, that is going to be the real tricky one. And if they can pull that off, they'll be absolutely amazing. I'm looking forward to it. I hope they can do it. It's something I'm on the edge of my seat the whole time at the moment, so just waiting for that to happen.
Ian, tomorrow she could smash your record. Are you happy to be hunted down?
She's not hunting me down. She likes me too much, and I just I just wanted to do it. Yeah, it's got to be done. I can't take that to my grave. The record can't last that long. So it's great that it's her, great that it's kayaking.
Great to talk to you, Ian. Thank you for joining us. That is Ian Ferguson, who's like on the top of the Olympic medal stack, and Lisa Carrington has just joined him there in terms of our most decorated Olympians. And tomorrow she could take the record for herself. Kia ora e te iwi e haere nei I a checkpoint. The screws could be tightening on finances for first home buyers. Some Marlborough Sounds residents are still without road access 2 weeks on from massive flooding. And weightlifter Laurel Hubbard on what went wrong and what's next. Homai o whakaaro, send us your thoughts. Interested to know if you were poised in front of the television for Lisa Carrington's races today. Have you got an eye on the Olympics? What are your thoughts? Text us on 2101, tweet us at Checkpoint RNZ, or email checkpoint@rnz.co.nz. It is time now for the headlines with Marama.
Me take mata. Thank you very much, Lisa. RNZ News, kia orana, I'm Marama Tipole. New Zealanders have won 2 golds and 1 silver on the water this afternoon at the Tokyo Olympics. In just over an hour, canoeist Lisa Carrington won the K1 200, then teamed up with Caitlin Regal to win the K2 500. Defending Olympic sailing champions Peter Burling and Blair Tuke have claimed the silver medal in the 49er class. They took a 4-point lead into the medal race, but finishing third was not enough to take the gold. And heavyweight boxer David Nika is taking home the bronze. He's the first New Zealand boxer to win an Olympic medal since David Tua's bronze in Barcelona in 1992. New Zealand now sits 10th on the medal table with 15 medals in total. A $220 million class action lawsuit by more than 1,000 claimants over a weather tightness product has been settled. James Hardie Industries was being sued over a type of cladding called Hardie-Tex. In a market statement, the producer says the settlement includes no admission of liability and the end of the claim. There are 2 other outstanding weather tightness claims against the firm. Migrant workers who have been separated from their families protested at Parliament today. One of the protest organisers, Adam Gibbons, says more than 500 families haven't been reunited due to the border closures. The Ministry of Immigration cancelled up to 50,000 applications for temporary visas last month, which included many people waiting to join their New Zealand partners. First home buyers may find themselves at the sharp end of further moves to tighten mortgage lending. The Reserve Bank is set to lower the amount of lending to low deposit borrowers and rein in debt to income ratios. John Bolton from Squirrel Mortgage Brokers says in his experience, many first home buyers have deposits of less than 20% and are usually considering properties about 5 times their incomes. It's 5:35.
Kia ora rā, e hoa no mai hoki mai. This is Checkpoint, ko Lisa Owen tēnei. Ko taku hoa nai nei, ko Nona Peltier, who's live in the studio to talk about business. And this is a really interesting developing story, Nona. James Hardie has settled their weather tightness case, right? So this was a massive court case. What do we know so far?
Well, it started in May. The case started May 17th. They were about halfway through, and then suddenly, quite by surprise, the case has been settled. James Hardie hadn't even really got through their opening remarks. Afterwards, they said, that's it, the case is over. And the company that funded the class action, so it was basically 1,000 homeowners involving 326 properties. This was one case. There's 2 others as well that are still outstanding. Basically, the company that funded, it was a litigation funder, has agreed to pay James Hardie $1.25 million for the trouble. So that suggests that it's certainly James Hardie has said that that's the end of the matter as far as they're concerned, that all claims have now been settled in relation to this particular case and that there's nothing left outstanding to do. Now, I'm sure that's very disappointing to the folks that brought that action, and it will be a big surprise, no doubt, but that's how it is. And so now they're looking ahead to a court case which will begin in May 2023 is when it's set down. So that's another
May
case.
2023.
Yeah, and there's another one.
Another one coming down the pipeline as well.
Yeah, so there's a couple there. I'm not an expert on their litigation
timetable, but there's a bit of it.
But there's some stuff going on there. So we haven't actually heard the end of it, but this is an indication of where things are going for sure.
Let's talk about the buy now, pay later sector. It may be becoming a victim of its own success. Why is that?
No, well, we heard yesterday that the founder of Twitter, one of the co-founders who owns a company called Square, made a $126 Australian dollar offer per share for Afterpay, which a lot of people will have heard of. There's a lot of different companies doing the exact same thing, and they have been getting the attention of regulators. So there's a suggestion that that space has become so crowded now, and of course the interest that it's generated means that there's probably going to be a closer look sooner than later on how these organizations operate. So it's kind of a nice thing. You can buy now and pay later, but if you don't pay, the fees, the late payment fees can be quite steep, like $50 on a $100 purchase, that kind of thing. And when you compare that with a credit card for the same sort of value, you're looking at like $3. So is it really something that people should be just embarking on without some protections? And there don't seem to be a lot in place. That's likely to change before long.
Shall we, dive into the markets with a little more elegance than maybe the Canadian Olympian?
Well, hey, it's one way to make a splash, isn't it? Just walk on in. Just never mind,
If you haven't seen it, check out the video online. But anyway, Nona, to the market.
Yes, that's right. I'm paying attention. I'm just telling you, I'm just paying attention. I'm ready for you, Lisa. Okay, well, anyway, look, the Delta variant is causing a lot of concern. Back to something more serious here. And look, there's a lot of concern about infrastructure spending and so forth, and that's affecting the markets. So we fell just 2 points, which is pretty good because Asia is actually quite red today, to 12,701. That's our top 50 index, so that's pretty good, really. The New Zealand dollar was boosted in late trading, along with the Australian dollar. So we're trading at 70.1 US cents, and you might ask why, and that's because the Reserve Bank of Australia has left their official cash rate unchanged, which was expected, but unexpectedly has decided to continue tapering its bond buying program, even though the Delta variant is causing trouble there. So who knows? Anyways, the Australian dollar, Kiwi trading 94.7. So that's a bit stronger against the Australian anyway. And 50.4 pence. Did I cover off everything?
You did.
Do you want to know a little bit more about diving? No? Okay, we're good.
We'll save that for next time. Nona Valtio with business news and, a bit of Olympic commentary too. First home buyers may find themselves at the sharp end of further moves to tighten mortgage lending. The government and the Reserve Bank are having a second go at cooling the runaway housing market. The central bank is sent to lower the amount of lending to low deposit borrowers and has been given approval to rein in debt to income ratios. Amy Williams reports.
2.5, we're away now, 2,500,000 bid. At 2.5, we're away on my right.
Sold by a trust for just over $3 million, the 4-bedroom brick house in the Auckland suburb of St John's is nothing out of the ordinary. But the price tag is. It was the star of today's auction at Barfoot and Thompson, with 3 other homes passing in unsold. Auckland residents RNZ spoke to in the city today say the housing market appears hard to dampen.
Anything that kind of would contribute to the cooling of it, but I don't know, it doesn't seem like anything's happened so far, and nothing seems to be working, and whether it will actually improve it is really difficult to know and even understand.
It is absolutely out of control. It needs 1,000 different angles, but they all need to be taken at the same time effectively.
I don't think playing around with the LVRs will make much difference because people can always get starting capital for the deposit from somewhere else, another financier or family, but the debt to income ratio might actually make a difference. It should have been in years ago.
The central bank will start consulting on reducing the amount of low deposit lending banks can do to no more than 10% of their total lending from the current 20%. The measure would come into force on October 1. CoreLogic's head of research, Nick Goodall, says it will have an impact on first home buyers.
certainly Grant Robertson will be interested to see that this is likely going to impact first-home buyers quite significantly, as they are the types of buyers who typically make use of those speed limits outside the deposit requirement.
Mortgage broker and CEO of Squirrel, John Bolton, agrees, because in his experience, many first home buyers have deposits of less than 20%. The government has also given RBNZ approval for debt-to-income ratios or interest rate floors to ensure borrowers can afford to service mortgages. Mr Bolton says first home buyers are usually considering properties about 5 times their incomes.
Comfortable feels about 4.5 times their income. 5.5's workable. Once you start getting up to 6, that's really starting to into that space where you're having baked beans for dinner. And so, I think the Reserve Bank's been sort of signalling around that 6% or 6 times income level, and I think that's why I was sort of saying it won't really impact too much on first-home buyers.
He says any debt-to-income cap is more likely to concern property investors whose debt levels would be assessed when they bought or sold a property. Today's move follows changes made at the start of the year to cool the housing market, which has continued to record 20% annual growth in prices. Finance Minister Grant Robertson says the position of first home buyers is being closely considered in moves to tighten bank lending rules.
The introduction of debt-to-income ratios is something we have to handle carefully. We want to make sure that we don't price first-home buyers out of the market, and that's why the MOU makes that specific reference. But the Reserve Bank's now taking the opportunity to consult on this. That's, I think, a responsible thing to do.
It's a move first home buyers and property investors alike will be watching closely.
Health experts in and around Fiji are warning if the Delta variant of COVID-19 keeps mutating, a new vaccine may be needed. More than 20,000 people with COVID are in isolation, and the death toll has passed 250 and climbing. Christine Ravoy reports.
The US Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has this week placed Fiji on level 4 of its COVID alert due to the growing number of cases in the Pacific nation. Professor Fiona Russell from the University of Melbourne says reports that more people are dying from the virus in Fiji should be a concern. At least 200 people, including a baby, have died due to COVID since April this year. Professor Russell says the mutation of the Delta strain could happen.
That is a characteristic of all viruses, not just the COVID virus. And there's other mutations that have already occurred, such as the Lambda variant. But at the moment, what we've found is that the variants have become more transmissible. We have to keep an eye on that. We need ongoing studies to monitor it. And it may be that in the future, people in Fiji may need a booster with a different vaccine or something.
New Zealand epidemiologist and University of Otago Professor Michael Baker agrees, saying Fiji is going backwards in its fight against the pandemic.
The situation in Fiji is very worrying. They've really lost control of this epidemic at this point, given, as you say, record numbers over the weekend, its very widespread nature.
Fijian epidemiologist Dr. Donald Wilson says the country is overwhelmed by the pandemic.
The worry is because when the health system becomes overwhelmed, when it cannot any longer take in lots of patients who've got severe disease, then unfortunately, like what has been happening in other countries where doctors have to do the unethical thing of needing to choose who to put on ventilators and who not to.
Despite the Fijian Prime Minister's refusal to enforce a national lockdown, Professor Michael Baker says it's not too late for the government to change its strategy.
It depends on what their overall strategy is. If they want to return to an elimination position, I think they need to act very decisively now. And that actually offers a much better route back to economic recovery than trying to suppress the virus and live with it, which hasn't really worked very well in the past.
Close to 500,000 Fijians, or 83.7% of the target population, have received their first dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine, while just over 150,000, or 25.9%, have got both jabs. Head of Fiji's vaccination task force, Dr. Rachel Devi, says the only good news is the Moderna vaccine now in the country is also effective against the Delta variant, the UK variant, and the Wuhan strain of the virus.
We have important strategies that we're planning right now, and we'll release them very soon in terms of how, when, where we roll this out across the country. This will definitely boost it up, especially right now we weren't vaccinating our pregnant women with the AstraZeneca unless obviously individuals consented. But I know there's quite a lot of build-up in that area now. There's a lot of evidence on safety reasons as well.
Meanwhile, an Australia-based Fijian academic warns Fiji is suffering its worst medical, social and economic crisis since the measles epidemic of 1875, which led to the deaths of a third of the country's population. Professor Wadanasi says this could have been avoided had the government listened to the best medical advice, not just in Fiji, but also from its major partners, New Zealand and Australia.
It is 12 minutes to 6. I'm Lisa Owen and you're with Checkpoint on RNZ National. He muriaki ina pita pita kōrero after the news at 6. More from the Games in Tokyo. Laurel Hubbard's admitted she's felt the intense spotlight on her, but hopes her Olympics appearance encourages young trans people. The weightlifter became the first openly transgender woman to compete at the Games when she took part in the women's 87 kilo plus category last night. But she came last after failing to complete a successful snatch lift.
I really want to say I don't know. The campaign, the lead-up was absolutely perfect. I had incredible support in the back room from my coach and warm-up crew. The training, the preparation, the taper, the facilities here, everything was just on point and perfect. And so really, I suppose then it just, comes down to the fickle nature of sport. You put yourself out there, you test yourself, and you find out one way or the other.
And Laurel appreciates what US gymnast Simone Biles is going through.
I'm not going to pretend that this is the easiest point in my sporting career, but it is what it is. You put yourself out there and you take what comes. And I think I'm so grateful that the conversation about mental health is being had, because I think it's so easy for people to, I suppose, forget that athletes are human, that we have all of the, we suffer from the pressure, the expectation, and we feel the disappointment when things don't go according to plan. And I hope that conversation continues, because it's an important one to have.
And she says she didn't set out to be a trailblazer.
I haven't come here to change the world. I've come here because sport is part of me, and it's really part of what I want to do. And everything else is peripheral to that. I've only ever wanted to be treated in the way that other athletes are treated. I haven't set out to look for special accommodation, special treatment, or anything else really. And so, while I'm aware that someone has to be the first, that's not been what's propelled me to come here and compete.
But Laurel has a message for young trans people.
If there's one thing I hope I can give to them, it's encouragement, not just for sports, but for all spheres of life. I think the world is changing, and there are opportunities for people to be out in the world and do things just as any other person would do. And so if there's one thing I'd like to pass on, it's this. Life is difficult. There are disappointments. I know I certainly have some today, as do we all, but if you just keep pressing on, it does get better.
And despite not performing as she wanted, she's grateful to be an Olympian.
Although I haven't really achieved the results that I and others had hoped for, I'll be able to leave with a pocket full of memories and perhaps remember some of those extraordinary moments. And I think that will be as rewarding as any Olympic medal could be.
And she admits this was likely her swan song.
I'm looking forward to my career as a pub quiz question or a Trivial Pursuit card. And that might sound slightly facetious, but there is a kernel of truth in that. I've never been involved in sport because I'm interested in publicity or profile. And so if it means that I now begin to descend into graceful obscurity, then I'm okay with that.
And that was Laurel Hubbard speaking to media in Tokyo today. The head of an organisation helping Belarusians fleeing abroad has gone missing in Ukraine. The man was reported missing by his partner after failing to return home from a jog. Meanwhile, a sprinter from Belarus has sought protection from the Polish embassy and has been granted a humanitarian visa after she criticised her coaches. She says her own team tried to force her onto a flight back home. The ABC's Nick Dole has more.
At Tokyo's Haneda Airport on Sunday, one flight had a last-minute booking. Belarusian officials had arranged a flight home for their sprinter, Kristina Timanovskaya, a day before she was due to compete in the 200 metres. In a smartphone video she recorded, she made it clear it wasn't her choice. I asked the International Olympic Committee for help, she said. I was put under pressure and they are trying to forcibly take me out of the country without my consent. I asked the IOC to intervene. The 24-year-old had earlier complained about her country's coaches on social media. She says she was then taken to the airport against her will. After refusing to board the flight, Japanese police offered her protection. She was later seen entering the Polish embassy, where she was granted a humanitarian visa. Marcin Przydacz is Poland's deputy foreign minister.
She's at the Polish embassy, safe and in a quite good condition. Although the whole situation had a quite negative footprint on her, she's planning to come to Poland in the days to come, to be here in Warsaw. And if she would only like, of course, she can continue. She's free to pursue her sporting career in Poland, but that would be her decision.
In Poland, she's expected to be reunited with her husband, who's also left Belarus. Since 1994, the former Soviet state's been ruled by Alexander Lukashenko, and last year, security forces loyal to him engaged in a violent crackdown against anti-government protesters. The European Union says this latest incident is another example of the government trying to crush criticism. But Belarusian officials say their actions were born out of concern for Kristina Timanovskaya. Her chief coach, Yuri Moisevich, told State TV that she'd been struggling emotionally. She stood out for her behaviour, he said. We've known for a long time there was something wrong with her. She secluded herself sometimes and didn't want to communicate. We were getting some signals that something was happening to the girl. The International Olympic Committee is now seeking a detailed explanation from Belarus. The IOC's spokesman is Mark Adams.
We've asked them for their full report and we will look at it and then we'll study and decide whether we think that further action needs to be taken.
Earlier this year, the IOC refused to recognise Mr Lukashenko's son Viktor as the head of the country's Olympic Committee, and it banned both men from attending the Games. After this incident, an invitation to Paris could be even harder to come by.
National is demanding the country's name be put to a public vote, with one MP saying until that happens, the government should not use the word Aotearoa. The demand has been roundly ridiculed by every other party in Parliament, including ACT. Here's our Deputy Political Editor, Craig McCulloch.
Walker Classic. Now, National says it's gone too far. The opposition party is accusing the government of a stealth campaign, a de facto name change from New Zealand to Aotearoa.
If you look at most of the government agencies, they're now changing it. The Prime Minister changes the way she talks about it. Barely ever hear her talk about New Zealand these days.
Judith Collins says enough is enough. The public deserves a vote on the matter. A referendum like the one held by John Key over whether to change the flag.
People are starting to get, I think, quite tetchy about it. The public has a right to have a vote on this.
Her MP, Stuart Smith, goes even further. He published an opinion piece last week and says the response was overwhelming. Now he thinks government departments should cease using the word Aotearoa altogether until the public have had their say.
If you're going to change what is the status quo, then you need to ask the people. And I actually wonder why they don't have the confidence to do that. John Key did, and he had the good grace to accept what people said.
But government ministers deny any such name change is underway. The Deputy Prime Minister, Grant Robertson, says he uses the te reo word proudly because, like many New Zealanders, he likes it.
I'd reject that there's any element of stealth. We have official languages in New Zealand. Te reo Māori is one of them.
There's no secret agenda going on. I think Stuart Smith is desperate and stupid.
I think it's entirely ridiculous.
The position's propagated by every other party in Parliament. The Greens, the Māori Party, even National's usual bedfellow ACT.
Obviously Aotearoa is increasingly popularly used by people of Aotearoa.
Many of us identify with Aotearoa, and I encourage every government department and anybody else out there to continue to use it.
I just think ultimately Stuart Smith needs to focus on bigger issues.
It's a message which was advocated by Judith Collins herself earlier this year when she encouraged her caucus to avoid distractions and focus on the important matters. Instead, here it finds itself alone on a crusade against a non-existent name change.
We'll head back to Japan after 6, where sailor Josh Jr. is vying for an Olympic medal. Lisa Carrington has become New Zealand's most decorated female Olympic athlete today, winning 2 more gold medals to add to her other 3 Olympic medals, and she'll have a shot at another 2 in the next few days. Sailors Peter Burling and Blair Tuke have won silver in the 49er, and David Nika has won bronze in the heavyweight boxing. Some of your feedback here. I love this one from William. William, thanks for getting in touch. William says, Dear Lisa, ever notice that Kiwis win the most medals sitting down? Rowing, kayaking, sailing. William, there's hope for me yet. On the subject of Aotearoa, Kara has got in touch to say, Kia ora, Lisa. It is a pity that certain MPs cannot bring themselves into the 21st century and embrace the beautiful name of our country. Maybe it's significant, Kara says, that I have already forgotten the name of the MP who is asking for a referendum on what we should call our country. Ngā mihi, Kara says. He aha o whakaro. I want to know what you think about that. Are they interchangeable, Aotearoa and New Zealand? Do we need a referendum on what to call our name? Or are they both equal and can be used equally? Do send us your thoughts on that one. Text us on 2101.
Kia ora, I'm Marama Tipole. Canoeist Lisa Carrington has added 2 more Olympic gold medals to her collection today in Tokyo. The 32-year-old New Zealander shredded the field to win the K1 200-metre final to give her a hat-trick of gold medals in the singles event, and she then teamed up with Caitlin Regal to win the K2 500. Carrington's parents, Pat and Glynis, were at the Cloud on Auckland's waterfront watching her race along with her grandmother, Toria Doreen.
I remember her saying to me, Nan, I want to be better than better. And I always will remember her for that. And that was something, she used to always say to me, Nan, I've been able to conquer fear.
Lisa Carrington's family have spoken of their huge pride at her Olympic achievements. The Sport and Recreation Minister was bombarded with emails about Laurel Hubbard's Olympic Games selection over the past few months. Most of the dozens of messages to Grant Robertson called for the government to intervene and stop Hubbard being part of the New Zealand team for Tokyo. Ben Strang reports.
Laurel Hubbard competed on Monday night but failed to finish in her weightlifting category after failing 3 attempts at the snatch. One writer thanked the government for supporting Hubbard, saying her trans daughter faced hatred in Britain while seeking possible Commonwealth Games selection. She said Hubbard being selected for New Zealand's Olympic team would have a massive impact on the trans community. Others condemned the selection. Dozens of emails came from a women's rights lobby group, while another compared Hubbard's selection to Australia's underarm bowling incident.
First home buyers may find themselves at the sharp end of further moves to tighten mortgage lending. The Reserve Bank is set to lower the amount of lending to low deposit borrowers and has been given approval to rein in debt-to-income ratios. The chief executive of mortgage brokerage Squirrel, John Bolton, says in his experience, many first home buyers have deposits of less than 20%.
That will have an impact on first home buyers. A lot of first home buyers we see have less than 20% deposit. That will tighten that up a little bit. The Reserve Bank says that is a bit of a risky space.
John Bolton says first home buyers are usually considering properties about 5 times their incomes. Industry group Film Auckland says the government's $30 million investment to expand Auckland film studios will help attract international businesses. 2,000 square metre sound stages and more workshops and offices will be constructed at the council-owned studios in Henderson. The chairperson of Film Auckland, Grant Baker, says the New Zealand film industry has always struggled with capacity and capability. He says the investment will help the industry grow and create jobs.
The international shows are looking for countries that have got more infrastructure, and so the more studios we can build, the more attractive we become, and it gives us good capability for doing local shows as well, basically.
Auckland Council will contribute $5 million on top of the government's $30 million. Several homes were searched by fishery officers today as part of an investigation into an East Coast black market crayfish ring. The Ministry for Primary Industry says about 80 officers searched 8 homes in the Mahia, Wairoa, Whakatane and Kawerau areas. Spokesperson Gary Orr says it's believed the ring was highly organised, taking thousands of crayfish worth more than $300,000 over 7 months. Queensland's latest COVID-19 outbreak has worsened with the detection of 16 new local cases. Health authorities still don't know how the virus first spread to a family in West Brisbane. It's since spread among mostly children. The ABC's Jessica Stewart reports.
There's now 47 cases in the cluster involving several Brisbane schools. 9 of the 16 new cases are children. Queensland's Chief Health Officer Dr Jeanette Young says it's good the cases are linked.
We haven't seen any from outside there. I am still concerned, though, that we don't know how this outbreak has happened.
There's currently thousands of people in home quarantine in Queensland.
Meanwhile, New South Wales has recorded 199 new local cases of COVID-19. 50 of them are believed to have been infectious for a time in the community. No new cases have been reported in New Zealand today. Wellington Free Ambulance is facing industrial action by their paramedics. Starting from next Friday, staff will stop logging their arrival to emergency scenes. The Amalgamated Workers Union says its members are frustrated with significant changes to rosters, which they believe won't fix issues of fatigue. Members have rejected 2 offers since their collective employment agreement expired in July. The time is 5 minutes past 6. To sports, it's 2 down, 2 to go for canoeist Lisa Carrington in her bid to win an historic 4 Olympic titles. Carrington won the K1 200 and then just over an hour later teamed up with Caitlin Regal to win the K2 500. She's still targeting gold in the K1 500 and the K4 500. Caitlin Regal told Sky Sport Carrington's ability to stay calm helped them win.
I'm so proud of Lise and really keeping it cool amongst the massive day, but also the planning that went into to get to this point is part of our result.
Meanwhile, sailors Peter Burling and Blair Tuke have been unable to snatch gold in the 49er medal race. They've had to settle for silver after finishing 3rd in today's final race. Great Britain claimed gold after they crossed the line ahead of Germany by mere centimetres. And heavyweight boxer David Nika has won bronze after losing his semi-final bout. Wellington won't host any All Blacks tests this year. New Zealand Rugby have confirmed the first 2 Bledisloe Cup tests against the Wallabies will be held at Eden Park due to the pause in the Trans-Tasman travel bubble. Auckland hosts this weekend's first test, but Perth was to host the second on August the 21st and Wellington a week later. However, the third test will now be played in Perth on August the 28th, with the second test in Auckland on August the 14th. Auckland and Wellington also also lose September's Rugby Championship test against Argentina. The All Blacks will remain in Australia for the 2 games against the Pumas. And that is the news at 6:06.
Tonight on Nights, Tony Stamp samples the musical place where dance tracks and psychedelia mix. There's smart talk from the writer Witi Irameira on Maori myths of creation. And Nina Hall, Assistant Professor in International Relations at Johns Hopkins University, is on the line from Germany, pondering its recent floods and European Union plans for a Green New Deal. All on Nights with me, Brian Crump, after the news at 7 on RNZ National.
Now the short forecast from Met Service to midnight Wednesday. Northland, Auckland and Coromandel. Showers, some heavy with hail and southwest gales, all easing this evening. Mainly fine tomorrow with isolated morning showers in Auckland and rain in Northland at night. Waikato to Taumaranui, also Bay of Plenty in Taupo. Generally fine, isolated showers clearing this evening. Taranaki and Taihape to Wellington, also Gisborne to Wairarapa. Showers retreating to Wellington and Wairarapa this evening, then clearing early tomorrow and becoming fine. Southerly gales in Wellington, Kaikoura Coast and Ranges and Canterbury rain with snow to 500 metres and gales about the Kaikoura Coast, all easing this evening. Tomorrow, expect fine weather. For the remainder of the South Island, isolated showers about Bulla, Otago and Southland clearing this evening, otherwise fine or becoming fine. And for Re Kohu Chatham Islands, rain with southwest gales tomorrow. RNZ National, it's 6:08.
Kia ora rā marama, no mai hoki mai, ko Lisa Owen tēnei, you're listening to Checkpoint. It's been a golden day for New Zealand athletes in Tokyo. Lisa Carrington is on top of the world, winning a 3rd gold medal in the same event in 3 consecutive Olympics. She's now got 5 Olympic medals to her name. She's dominated the K1 200, blasting to victory and leaving the rest of the competition in her wake. But just over an hour later, there was more. She and her boat buddy, Caitlin Regal, got more gold, this time in the K2 500. Back home, her whānau were watching on the big screen at the Cloud. Now, if you're watching on TV, have a look at this. You'll see Lisa's parents, Glynis and Pat, and her partner, Michael Buck, willing her on. So let's return to Japan, where sailor Josh Jr. has been vying for a medal in the Finn class. Our reporter Clay Wilson joins me now. So Clay, what's happened?
Yeah, so unfortunately not good news for Josh Jr. He's finished 5th overall in the Finn class. A very close medal race. He came into today 4th and he didn't get a great start, but he made up ground on the 2nd leg, and by the 2nd and 3rd legs he went round the mark in 3rd place and was looking like he might push for a medal, but unfortunately the last couple of legs lost ground and a medal sailed away into the distance, and he's finished 5th overall, so no medal to add for the sailing team after Peter Burling and Blair Tuke here at a stifling hot Inoshima picked up that silver medal just an hour or so ago. So Josh Jr., he's going to walk away from here without a medal, but we do have one more shot. The 470 men, a couple of good results today. Paul Snow-Henson and Dan Wilcox, they're 4th overall going into that medal race, which will be tomorrow. Just a handful of points off bronze and silver. So still another medal shot for the sailing team down here in Inoshima.
And of course, Lisa Carrington just halfway through her medal campaign. Talk us through, wow, what other goodies she could haul in the next few days.
Yeah, so 2 medals down, 2 gold medals and 2 potentially more medals to come. Lisa Carrington has the K1 500 metres, the longer distance, the heats tomorrow, and then semis and finals, you would think, based on her current form, on Thursday. And then looking ahead to Friday and Saturday, that's where this women's canoe sprint team finished their regatta, spearheaded by Lisa Carrington in the K4 boat, so the 4-person boat. Heats on Friday and then finals on Saturday. So yeah, still, I guess, like I said, based on Lisa Carrington's form, you wouldn't put it past her that there's going to be a couple more medals to come, potentially another gold or 2.
Thanks, Clay. That is Clay Wilson joining us live from Tokyo. More than 2 weeks after heavy rain caused devastation in the Marlborough Sounds, some residents remain without road access. Samantha G joined a convoy with Marlborough District Council staff along the closed Queen Charlotte Drive to see the damage.
A huge slip that came down across the road in the small Pukenui Bay settlement took one house with it and left 2 others yellow stickered. It is one of the largest slips on the popular tourist road near Picton, which was severely damaged during the storm last month. Closer to Havelock, half the road has washed away, its surface slipping down the hill towards the sea. Water is still running down the slope, across the broken seal. Marlborough Road's manager Steve Murrin says contractors are working to divert the water before they can reopen the road to one lane.
I think our contractors have done a fantastic job to get the first section of Queen Charlotte Drive to Linkwater open. As you see, there's some damage and we've got some single lane pieces, but overall I think it's in pretty good condition. The bit now you'll see shortly, there's parts of it's absolutely destroyed, and it's whether we're going to get road back where it has been in the past. We've still got to make those decisions. A lot of work in front of us.
It will be another few weeks at least before single lane access is fully restored on Queen Charlotte Drive and Kinapuru Road, and could be 12 months before they are back to 2 lanes.
It's probably the biggest event I've been involved with. After the earthquake, it cost us just over $6 million to fix this area, and it's worse than that, so yeah, a lot worse than that.
He understands some residents are frustrated about the restricted access along Queen Charlotte Drive, but says it's important to give contractors time to complete the work. The Queen Charlotte Tavern is halfway between Havelock and Picton. Co-owner Marianne Surridge says business has all but stopped.
Normally we get a lot of traffic coming through daily, especially on the weekends, bike riders come through and all that. So they haven't been able to get through. So we've had a few local customers, which has been great. Thankfully we've got great locals in this area. But we haven't had any other custom, which has been really hard, and also hard for my staff.
And there doesn't appear to be any financial support unless the business is closed.
According to MSD, you have to have closed the doors and have no income at all. And I mean, that sounds like to me that we have to go bankrupt, which is, not going to happen. We actually have to try and get source money through our own families, etc., to keep the doors open.
Marianne Surridge can't wait for the road to reopen.
They've cleared so much. There's been trucks continuously going past, full of dirt from the slips. So yeah, I think they're doing a good job, and I'm pretty positive about how quickly it's going to finish. I guess it's been 2 to 3 weeks now, so it's a lot of mud on those hills.
Marlborough District Council Recovery Manager Dean Hefford is impressed with how far crews have been able to get, particularly on Kinapuru Road.
Talking to the roading teams, they're saying that they've cleared something like 20,000 cubic metres of dirt already. And they think they're probably a fifth of the way through of what has to happen just in the Sounds.
Standing near the largest slip at Pukenui Bay, Marlborough Mayor John Leggett says it was the most serious damage he had seen to roads in the Sounds, with contractors working hard to reinstate the network.
There's a real clear intention to try and open up the Picton to Havelock Queen Charlotte Drive. That's the most used part of the Sounds network, and that will allow then the contractors to get in and start working on the Kinapuru. There's a few trucks going past in the background I hear now, so I'm pleased to see that it's really showing a bit of progress.
But there's still a long road ahead.
It is 15 minutes past 6 and you're with Checkpoint on RNZ National. Russian athletes are coming under scrutiny in Tokyo as they win a string of medals, despite coming from a country banned for a state-backed doping program. More than 300 athletes have been cleared to compete under the banner of the Russian Olympic Committee. But there's been speculation they're cheating. Russian officials have hit back, calling it the whining of losers. Sarah Rainsford reports from Moscow.
Tchaikovsky's beautiful piano concerto is apparently irritating some people in Tokyo. It's played when Russian athletes take gold at the Olympics, and that's happening quite a bit now. The thing is, Russia and its national anthem are officially banned in punishment for a giant state-run doping program. But some 300 athletes are competing as the Russian Olympic Committee, and their rivals aren't happy. Some have even implied that the Russian athletes are still cheating.
We feel punished because from all around the world we got the questions regarding why did you use doping? It's like racism, you know. You're not guilty, but we don't like you.
Yevgeny Karatichkin was a silver medal winner at the London Games, and he thinks it's time to give Russia a break.
The scandal was huge, and after that, Russian athletes, coaches and authorities, they have done a big work to clean Russian sport. And I believe that now we are competing with the clean athletes.
The Russian team aren't being low-key in Tokyo. This was a promotional video for their uniform. Banned from displaying the word Russia, the whole kit is one big national flag instead. White, blue and red stripes splashed across the body of every athlete. Meanwhile, the government here has been hitting back at its critics. These blows are by the Foreign Ministry spokeswoman, no less, as she thwacks a dummy labelled press in a video of support for the Russian athletes. The team's acronym is ROCK, and that's become a defiant hashtag, which Maria Zakharova quotes straight down the camera lens.
We will rock you.
As Queensland faces its most serious COVID-19 outbreak in more than a year, doctors say they're suddenly seeing a spike in the number of people wanting to get vaccinated. The South East Queensland Delta outbreak may be far smaller than the one in New South Wales, but authorities aren't taking any chances. With a lockdown extended till Sunday, the state recorded 16 new locally acquired cases. The ABC's David Sparks reports.
As the Queensland outbreak grows, Dr Bruce Willett says patients ringing his practice in Redlands near Brisbane have just one request.
We've been smashed over the last couple of days with people deciding that now's a good time to get vaccinated with the recent outbreak in southeast Queensland. Our phone in our practice is in meltdown. It just rings, the receptionist puts the phone down and it rings again. It's literally like that all day with people ringing up asking about the vaccinations.
Dr Willett is also the Queensland chair of the Royal Australian College of General Practitioners.
I think the lesson here is very much is to not be complacent and not wait for these outbreaks, because the problem is when the outbreaks occur that everyone wants to get vaccinated at once and all of a sudden we don't have the capacity. So we've gone from 2 weeks ago having underfilled vaccination clinics to now, struggling to be able to put on more vaccination clinics in time to meet this current demand.
With the risk the virus could spread out of the southeast corner, getting people in regional areas vaccinated is also a priority. Pharmacist Melissa Keys is giving AstraZeneca shots mainly to over 60s in the town of Miles, 300 kilometres northwest of Brisbane.
We started our first vaccines back in early June this year. The community engaged really well from the start. We had about 2 weeks in advance. Bookings were completely booked out. And there honestly has been just a continuous flow from there.
And are you having to alleviate people's concerns in conversation, or are they just coming to you saying, yep, I want to get it?
Look, a lot of people have already made their decision to come and get it, but with the few that do come in asking questions about the vaccine, it's a really easy environment to come into the pharmacy and pull aside a pharmacist to have those chats. We can provide them with information and send them home with it to think about it, and a lot of the time we do see them coming back and booking in.
So far, 18% of Queensland's eligible population has had 2 doses. That's more than 750,000 people. The Federal Health Minister Greg Hunt says the number of Pfizer doses going to the primary healthcare network in Queensland will double this month to 414,000, while the state government will be given 409,000 Pfizer doses.
The Delta variant is wreaking havoc through much of the US, with the CDC warning it spreads as easily as chickenpox. But despite rising cases, Dr. Anthony Fauci believes there is enough community protection to avoid future lockdowns. The White House is stressing the effectiveness of vaccines as 90 million eligible Americans still haven't received a dose. CNN's Caitlin Collins has more.
With the Delta variant fueling outbreaks nationwide, President Biden is hitting a key vaccine goal tonight, almost 1 month late.
I would say it's a significant step that we have hit 70%.
70% of adults in the U.S. have now received at least one shot, a milestone Biden hoped to reach by July 4th. The U.S. reported over 800,000 new shots were administered yesterday, making it the 5th straight day with over 700,000 shots in arms, still far from peak levels. Amid a renewed push to get more people vaccinated, the pandemic is once again consuming Biden's agenda.
We're not going back to the shutdowns of March of 2020. We're not going back to the economy shutting down. We've made too much progress.
After getting briefed by his COVID-19 team today, the president will give a speech on the pandemic tomorrow and meet with a top science advisor on Wednesday to prepare for future pandemics. The White House is attempting to clear up confusion about the effectiveness of vaccines sparked by the CDC after the agency issued new mask guidance. Less than 1% of those who are fully vaccinated have experienced a breakthrough infection, according to an analysis by the Kaiser Family Foundation. Senator Lindsey Graham announcing he is one of them, adding, quote, "I am very glad I was vaccinated." Not everyone is taking the CDC's mask advice.
There will be no restrictions and no mandates in the state of Florida.
Today, New York Mayor Bill de Blasio urged vaccinated New Yorkers to wear masks inside, but stopped short of issuing a new mandate.
But we thought that was the right balance. We still want to respect the fact that vaccination does give you different opportunities and rights than unvaccinated people.
Right now, 5 states are accounting for nearly half of all new COVID-19 cases. Meanwhile, a federal freeze on evictions expired over the weekend, putting millions of tenants at risk as infections are spiking nationwide. The White House says a Supreme Court ruling has prevented them from extending it, but made one last appeal to the CDC yesterday, which was denied.
In the UK, COVID-19 restrictions have been relaxed for fully vaccinated travellers from the EU or US. With no isolation on arrival, there have been emotional scenes at London's Heathrow Airport as friends and family reunite. The BBC's Caroline Davis has this report.
Through the dark and the difficulty of the last few months, they've waited for this.
As soon as we got off the airplane, we got so excited. You know, even the little ones would shout in London, London.
Well, we've only just literally walked in a few minutes ago, but when we get home and see everybody, yeah, it will sink in.
Granny? That's for Granny. As soon as the quarantine rules changed last week, Naomi booked her flights from California to see her parents. Taking a message from her children.
We love you, Mom. I really miss you guys. Bye.
On one of the first flights to land in the UK since the rules changed, while her parents wait nervously.
I couldn't sleep. I think I saw every hour. I think I did get sleep in between, but it was just, yeah, I'm too excited. Oh my goodness.
They've not seen each other since December 2019.
I really didn't think it was possible to come home until I actually set foot off the plane. Oh my God. I've left my husband and 2 kids at home, and it pains me to have left them behind, but grateful that they gave me the opportunity to come.
It's all very emotional.
Love you, Dad. Love you.
Love you, mate.
There are a lot of excited and quite frankly relieved reunions at the airport today. But for many people who have loved ones not in the US or in Europe, there's still some disappointment that they're not included. Gopi Krishnan hasn't seen his 13-year-old daughter in the UK since last October. He's double jabbed, but with a vaccine the UK hasn't approved, and lives in the UAE, which is currently on the UK's red list.
We were given this vaccine at that time, and there was no choice at all. So you take whatever is given to you. So yes, it's unfair. It is pretty stressful, to be honest. So I'm just wondering if there is any way to, that I can meet in the next 6 months, 9 months, or a year.
The travel industry want the government to go further.
We'd like to see other amber countries open up for people who've been doubly vaccinated. We'd also like to see the cost of testing brought down. A simple way to do that would be to replace the PCR test that everyone has to take post-arrival with a simpler LAMP or lateral flow test, which is much cheaper.
The list of countries that are rated green, amber and red is due to be updated this week. This evening, in a move welcomed by the travel industry, government sources confirmed that the idea of an amber watch list containing countries that were considered to be at risk of turning from amber to red had been scrapped. Earlier, the Prime Minister said travel rules must be clear and manage the risk to public health.
We've had to balance it because of the anxiety that I think a lot of people have, I have, about importing new variants, bringing back the disease. But we also have to recognise that people want badly to go on their summer holidays. We need to get the travel industry moving again. We need to get our city centres open again. And so we want an approach that is as simple as we can possibly make it.
There are still many families waiting to meet again around the world. But for some, today, for the first time in a long time, they felt in arm's reach.
And some of your feedback on Aotearoa or New Zealand, to call ourselves. Ross says, given Te Reo Māori is an official language, I believe Aotearoa is therefore an official name for our country. Judy from Lower Hutt says, no referendum needed. Sometimes we need a little push to make good change. Aotearoa would be another significant step towards making us a truly bicultural country. On the flip side of the coin, Sue says, I'm with the MP. The name is being changed by stealth. At least call us Aotearoa New Zealand. Kane says, Aotearoa or New Zealand, does it really matter that much that we have to waste 40-odd million bucks on a referendum, especially in the current economic climate? Kane says, I think not. Frank's got in touch to say yes to Aotearoa or even Aotearoa New Zealand, no to a referendum. Have the Nats learnt nothing from Mr Key's failed flag referendum, wasting $29 million? No wonder National is irrelevant, says Frank. This one, no to changing our country's name. Enough is enough of this Labour government's promotion of separatism, says Tony and Roz. Another person says yes to a referendum on the name change. I'll happily use the name Aotearoa. And this one finally, New Zealand for me, mate, 2 exclamation marks. We are almost out of time, but the Knights and Lately teams will keep you up to date throughout the evening on this very successful day for New Zealand athletes. Ko te kaupapa tuatahi Pawpaw. First up, we'll be with you first thing in the morning, and by that we mean 5 a.m, with the family of Caitlin Regal as Lisa Carrington's fellow gold medal teammate prepares to race against her. Now, we will leave you tonight with Lisa Carrington's very proud whānau, watching her receiving one of her 2 gold medals today.
RNZ News headlines at 6:30. I'm Catriona McLeod. Canoeist Lisa Carrington has won double gold at the Olympics today, taking the K1 200, then teaming up with Caitlin Regal to win the K2 500. And sailors Peter Burling and Blair Tuke, the defending champions in the 49er class, ended up with a silver, despite taking a 4-point lead into the medal race. The decades-long leaky home saga involving building products manufacturer James Hardie has been settled mid-trial. And authorities in the Chinese city of Wuhan, where COVID-19 first surfaced, want to test its entire population of 11 million people after confirmation of cases of the Delta variant. Our next news and weather is at 7.
Take the pulse of the day's news every weeknight at 10.
When we're still trying to work with them and find a solution, our members feel quite concerned about the way they've approached this.
Lately with me, Karen Hay.